I did a video about a year ago. Why isn't hockey bigger in the US? And it's not as big in the US as it really should be. Hockey should be a far more popular sport than it is, but it's behind the big three. You know the big three: Major League Baseball, where you stand around, scratch your crotch for 3 hours, and wait for somebody to hit something. That's if you're an outfielder. The NBA, where the score is 100 to 100 with 3 minutes left, and then things get exciting. And the NFL, where there's a play every 25 minutes, in between guys yapping and talking and showing you graphs and charts on what the next play might be. I really, and I say that as a guy who's watched all three sports. I used to enjoy the NBA, and then it kind of lost me. Officiating kind of lost me with the NBA, and just I got tired of the same teams winning all the time. The NFL, I still love the NFL. I love watching football when I can. With this channel, I haven't had the time to watch it like I used to, and it just I've fallen out with it over the last couple of years. But I still like the NFL, but it is slow. And for people who don't like the NFL, I totally get what they're talking about. That 2 minute warning, yeah, that's 20 minutes before the end of the game. And Major League Baseball, it can be really, really, really boring. Baseball can be really boring. I enjoy a good pitching matchup, which means that when a score is low, so if it's 1-1 going into the ninth inning, I'm into it. If it's 10-8 going into the ninth inning, I don't care. Who's pitching? They got the catcher pitching because they run out of pitchers in the bullpen. I don't care. And that's when a lot of fans get excited. And I know people love their home runs. I love good pitching. For me, my favorite team ever was the Braves of the late '80s, early '90s, because you had guys like Smoltz and Glavine and Maddox, and just it was such a great team. And then the Jays, the early '90s, when you had Stewart and you had, I didn't really like Jack Morris, but he was a pretty good pitcher, and a guy like Jimmy Key, who was probably my favorite pitcher of all time. That's some enjoyable baseball right there. So why can hockey compete? Because I'm talking about this and I enjoy this, but to me the NHL is so much better. The leagues make, and this is just rough figures. Major League Baseball has passed $10 billion for revenues first season. The NBA, $7.37 billion. The NFL, $13 billion. The NHL, $3.7 billion. And the NHL's making way more money than they did 25 years ago when that guy took over as commissioner. Average salaries, Major League Baseball's $4 million. NBA's $6.4 million. The NFL is deceptively low at $1.9 million. Because a lot of those offensive linemen, defensive linemen, kickers and whatnot, they aren't going to get the pay, that big payday, that your quarterbacks, wide receivers, and some of your linebackers are going to get. So, and safeties and what. I'm not getting into that because this isn't a basketball channel or a football channel. But basically, the average being 1.9 million is still pretty high considering a lot of the grunts in the league who don't get a lot of money or a lot of fame and fortune out of football. They're listed here too. The NHL's average salary is 2.4 million, which is way higher than it used to be. That's some crazy money right there. $2.5 million average. I'm average. I want $2.5 million. The top salary, Major League Baseball, Clayton Kershaw, $33 million. NBA top salary, Stephen Curry, $34 million. Top salary in the NFL, Matthew Stafford at $27 million. And in the NHL, it's Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews with $13.8 million each. The cap hits for Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane are lower than that, but that's how much money they got paid this year. $27 million between the two of them. The two of them combined equal Matthew Stafford, who has never won jack in the NFL. Why do I bring this up? There's a lot of NHL purists right now who are not happy with the pregame show put on by the Vegas Golden Knights. I get it. I enjoy the Vegas Golden Knights pregame show, though. I enjoy what they're doing. For the NHL to really truly join the big three and start generating that kind of revenue, they have to attract a bigger TV audience. So ESPN has to be going, hey, we've got to get in on this. And the Vegas story may have ESPN going to the NHL and saying, hey, once the deal with NBC is up, saying, hey, we can work something out here. Because ESPN's deals with the NHL honestly have been crappy for the NHL in terms of generating revenue. Now, the NHL shot itself in the foot with frequent lockouts. The NHL really needs to avoid the lockouts because that's part of what's held them back. But I'm old enough to remember when the NHL in the States was just as big as the NBA. Then the NBA started marketing its stars better. And that started when you had Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And that's why when people talk about the NBA now, it's Golden State and Cleveland again. Oh, look at this stupidity. People eat that up. People eat that up. Because it's drama and it's a blood feud between two teams that don't like each other and see each other every year. People eat that up. Major League Baseball has tradition. They're as American as apple pie. They are a part of the national fabric. The only time that Major League Baseball has really suffered is during their lockouts as well. Take note, NHL. Lockouts hurt your product long term. People stayed away in droves after the Major League Baseball players and owners were stupid enough to cancel a season. And I thought it was great that fans voted with their wallets. Now they're voting with their wallets that they love it, but Major League Baseball's overcome their lockout frenzy that they were going through. And clearly players are getting paid. And the steroid era helped Major League Baseball too. Let's not kid ourselves that all of the, Rafael Palmeiro and they're terrible people. Oh, look at this. You can't put him in the Hall of Fame. No, but without that home run frenzy we went through with guys like Sosa, McGuire, Palmeiro, I don't know the Major League Baseball gets to $10 billion right now. So it's kind of hypocritical of Major League Baseball to crack down so much on something that we knew was going on. When you see a guy line up in the batter's box and you're like, he looks about 40 pounds bigger than he did a week ago and all of it appears to be muscle. Is your forehead supposed to be that large? I have a funny feeling he may not have got there just by lifting weights and eating kale. But Major League Baseball is now this big thing. And the NFL, you can't touch the NFL. There's 16-game season. Every game is massively important. They have a day of the week that is massively important. Sunday's really important. Then you got Monday Night Football. Now they've got Thursday Night Football. And don't mess with those Thursday Night Football games because those are huge. The NHL's trying to get in there. So what does this have to do with a pregame show by Vegas? Vegas is making hockey seem epic. I have been to hockey games where I see people walking in halfway through the first period in Vancouver. And I'm like, wait. People still weren't here? I get it. The Canucks are in the crapper. And, who cares? We'll just avoid lineups. We'll just go in late. We'll go to scalpers halfway through the first and get tickets from them. But it just looks so weird to me. And you don't see that with Vegas as much. Because you got this pregame show, which I know it goes on for a long time. But that's something else these three leagues have. Pomp and circumstance, baby. How much hype do you get for the Super Bowl? 24 hours of pregame show. Now we're going to analyze the backup kickers. And you're just wanting to stab yourself in the throat. But it works. It works in the NFL. It works for the NBA. They can pump LeBron James highlight reel packages down your throat for days. Major League Baseball, they've got highlights going back to Babe Ruth. And they will pump those down your throat for days as well, too. The NHL hasn't really done that. And I think what we'll see with Vegas is I think we'll see other teams, probably just American teams for now, going, man, that's a great pregame show. So maybe in San Jose in the fall, instead of just having the shark mouth come down and Sharky, diving down from the middle of the arena, maybe they'll throw in some kind of a pregame show that's more intricate. Maybe it'll take an extra 5 or 10 minutes to get a game started. And I know people complain, and people are going to complain on this video about how silly it is. The NHL is sitting here. They want to get here. Now, the lazy way to do it is to expand. And they may do that. They absolutely may do that. It would be kind of crazy for a league that's worth a third or a quarter of other leagues above it to have more teams. But, one of the benefits of the NBA is you have 12 guys on a team? So those salaries, yeah, you can spend them. You can give them $6.5 million each because there's fewer players per team. NFL, there's a ton of players per team, so you're gonna have a lower average pay. But again, that's because the guys who are the backups and don't play very much or an entry level contracts really drag that down. The NHL wants to join the top three again, and they really haven't. It is a regional sport. What we're seeing in Vegas could add a lot to this total. So there you go. Why I enjoy the Vegas pregame show. I'm not a huge Imagine Dragons fan either, so I get that people didn't necessarily like Imagine Dragons, but there were lots of kids that did. You're trying to you don't only have to win over non-traditional fans. You're trying to explain to kids, little kids, why this is better than these. There's direct competition in the playoffs between the NBA and the NHL, and the NBA cleans the NHL's clock almost every time. The NHL is trying to change that. And we'll see how they do. But this pregame show in Vegas, that's going to have some other teams thinking during the off season, and I'm telling you, don't be surprised if games start at 4:30 but the puck drops at around 5 starting in October. And I'm sorry to hockey purists out there, because I hear you, I understand. I've seen the complaints in numerous places online about it. But the NHL knows where they want to get to. They know where the big money is. And all three of these leagues sell spectacle. Sell razzle-dazzle. So that even if the product isn't necessarily the best every night or every day, that razzle-dazzle gets you that extra money. And they're trying to do it with the NHL too. So it's not our game anymore. It's not the same game. And it's probably not going to be. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.